Let's turn our focus on the wingers now. Let's start with Nico Williams. News came out yesterday that Arsenal are planning to make a move for Nico Williams this month after following his development for some time. Sources have told Court Offside Arsenal's interest in Williams, who has a €50 million release clause in his contract, is driven by Mikel Arteta. So first up, Cousin, hearing that Arsenal are planning to make a move for Nico Williams, does that, like take your mood over the moon and you're like, yeah, thank goodness we were getting this way. You're like, nah, I'm not sure about him, and maybe another one. But Nico Williams is linked to us. What do you make of that?
I'm 100% sure about him. He is a sensational talent. He can play on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. You're going to see him for Spain on the left-hand side. And trust me, if you are not on the... if you're not supporting Spain, it won't be a pleasant, experience. Now, his release clause is actually incredible, like really, really incredible. With all these rumors going around that Arsenal might not sign a striker because of the lack of opportunities and the lack of talent, Nico Williams is a massive shout, like really, really massive shout. I mean, we are talking about a young man that has the ability to compete directly with Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka, right? We are talking about a young guy that is benching players like Dani Olmo for Spain. We are talking about a player that is benching the likes of Ferran Torres, for Spain. I have no doubts about Nico Williams. And I also know that Arsenal followed him for quite some time. That's why that report is very, very, I would say a hit of dopamine for me. It's a very, very satisfying hit of dopamine, because is it like 1 year ago that we started getting links with him since Pedro Neto, Wolves were asking for 70 million, 80 million. Arsenal looked at alternatives, right? We went in for Rafinha. Rafinha was expensive. He wanted to go to Barca. And then we looked at the younger talents. And Nico Williams, ever since then, has been one of the players that Arsenal have slowly but surely been linked with. We've monitored him and we've looked at him. His release clause comes into effect this summer. If we can get him, I'm not sure how we can, but if we can get him, that is a very good deal. That is a very, very good player.
For that price, I was so surprised. I was like, 50 million. I can't wait to see him playing for Spain, because I've watched him the last couple of games for Spain, and it's just been incredible on that left side. It's kind of a younger version of Liao. I'd say Liao is more because he's played for more time in. Yeah, so Nico Williams, you can see, I saw people in the comments saying it reminds them of Ronaldinho, the skill on the left side, dribbling and all that, the pace. Could this be our next could be our next Ronaldinho now? They're talking about 50, it could be 58, 49, whichever. They're talking about some different figures, but it's somewhere between 45 million pounds and 55 million pounds, somewhere around there. So talking about 49 million pounds. That's an incredible price. Do you think this is a no-brainer, basically, at 49 million pounds, around 50 million euros, whatever, to get him?
It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer for me because he's one of those talents. He's one of those players. Remember when Man City signed Sané, and he actually did work out very, very much for them. But when they sold him for more money to Bayern Munich than they had actually they had paid to Schalke for initially. So I think he's one of those talents that his ceiling is up there. That he's going to be kind of a superstar. You just have to invest money in him and then invest time in him, and then he's going to be a world-class player. I don't have problems there. I think the price comes from the fact that he had signed a new deal and he hasn't renewed yet. It's kind of the Benjamin Sesko situation, and I don't think Atletico Bilbao are really sitting there holding their hands to their chest saying, anyone who has 49 million, please. I think they're trying to sign him on a new deal very, very hard and very, very quickly, because that is a 75 million euro player. That is a 65 million pound player, there in Nico Williams. If you think about how much wingers have been going for, let's talk about it. Rafinha to Barcelona. Arsenal willing to pay 66 million for Rafinha. And really, right? So for me, Williams is not that's not an expensive deal. That is a no-brainer. And I won't be surprised if he ends up in the Premier League, not at Arsenal, but to another club. I've seen Manchester United working with figures around 35 to 45, Chelsea working with figures around 45 to 50. I think most of the clubs this summer are not looking at 100 million pound signings, 200 million pound signings. They're looking to bolster their squads in line with FFP. Can we get some good players for 40 million, 50 million? And Arsenal have actually had started very well. When you look at Onana, that's a good deal for less than 60 million. You look at Sesko, that would have been a good deal for less than 60 million. You look at Williams again, that's a very good deal for less than 60 million as well. So for me, it's a no-brainer. You go in there, you pay his release clause, and you know he'll bring in a player who's going to develop almost at the same level and at the same pace as Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. But why I also think it's a no-brainer is I think Arsenal need to start selling well. And this is about Arsenal, getting players that we can shift on and move on like Man City are doing. They could sell Alvarez for 80 million. Can you imagine? They could sell Alvarez for 80 million, and guess who's going to replace him? Savio from Girona, who is part of the City group, and they bought him for, I don't know, 20 million euros or even less than that, like a year ago or 2 years ago. So I think in terms of that, it makes a lot of sense. Get these deals, take advantage of 45 million pound deals, and you could move on these players for 70 million. You could move on these players for 80 million. When they say we want to move on, we're not getting enough time, or like players like Ferran Torres, he said, I want to go to Barca. My dream is to play for Barcelona, and City just made their money, and it was simple as that. So it's a deal that makes a lot of sense in all angles.
5 goals, 12 assists in La Liga. 8 goals, 17 assists in all competitions. Are these numbers that get you excited, or are you like, he needs to add more goals to his game? Or 25 goal contributions, you don't care even if it's 0 goals and 25 assists as long as he's getting the returns? Or do you think he needs to add more goals?
I think he's still young. It's kind of the case of Joao Neves, just that Joao Neves is very, very overpriced and very expensive. I think in most of the market deals we are going to see this summer, we are going to see more of prospect signing rather than deliver. I don't think right now, if you want a player to deliver for you, Osimhen, 100 million. So I think in terms of the prospect, in terms of what Arsenal will get, right, I think it's okay. The numbers are all right. I mean, we've seen so many wingers. You're looking at them. We have been linked with Desire Doué, I think. You look at their numbers and like, well, the trickery is there, the talent is there, but the numbers are still not, crazy numbers. But I think with him, Williams, you have numbers that are convincing, numbers that are going to improve and become better. And he's also playing in a Bilbao side that you don't expect them to have, Vinicius Junior numbers, Rodrigo numbers, Kylian Mbappe numbers, not really, right? I think they're kind of below in terms of the food chain, in Spanish football. So I think his numbers are okay. His numbers are, promising. They can go rapid. They can be made to go rapid. And especially if he can get regular team, a game time at a club like Arsenal, and of course, and a manager like Mikel Arteta. So I think his numbers are all right.
Now, if his numbers can be improved, because he's young, he's 21, he's turning 22. I think he's turning 22 in July. So if you're saying his numbers can be improved and all that, can his playing position, because he's predominantly a left winger, he's played like 90% of the games as a left wing, and our left wing already has Martinelli and Trossard there. So do you think he will actually be used on the left side and Martinelli could actually move completely on the right side, as you've seen the last couple of games? Or do you think Nico Williams will be used in both and maybe even go and just play with Saka on the right side? And that would be a nightmare for defenders. You will have a lot of rotation there. And I've always loved a player, a player who can come on even for Saka and whatever and give the defender still a hard time. Pace, dribbling, is very good at it. Where do you think he's going to play mostly for us?
I think in terms of positioning, he's predominantly played on the left-hand side, but he's also got that very, very good, left foot. Now, with Mikel, one thing we have seen is he loves inverted wingers. He doesn't want direct wingers to cross in, not really. He loves he loves direct wingers. So inverted wingers, not direct wingers. So because he's got that left foot, that is nice. And for Spain again, we will see him. He's going to be. He plays more of a traditional winger role on the left hand side. But at Bilbao, sometimes he's played on that right wing. He's inverted with his left foot, just like you've seen Saka. So I think that's what makes him, I think, stand out as compared to most of the prospects we have and most of the targets we have. That is very efficient on the left-hand side, and it's also very efficient on the right-hand side. Obviously, any player who can play on the left with his left foot is going to be very efficient on the right, because he's, on the right, you just have to cut in and maybe shoot, cut in and, bring in those mini crosses that we've seen from Saka a couple of times that have been, nice. I mean, I think there was one for Kai Havertz against Brentford in the first leg. I loved that. So
Trossard one against Chelsea.
Yeah, the Trossard one against Chelsea. So those kind of mini crosses, those kind of mini balls. So in terms of position, I don't think it comes in with a nailed position. Like, there's a lot of establishment at Arsenal. Saka is established. Martinelli, despite the fact that we undermined him, or maybe some people undermine him, he's actually established as well. And Trossard is established as well. So I won't be surprised to see Martinelli shift inside a little bit more, especially if Arsenal don't sign a centre forward. Martinelli shifting inside a little bit more. Nico Williams partnering up with Trossard to form a long-term partnership, and then Gabriel Jesus partnering up with Saka to form that, if Saka is not around, then Gabriel Jesus, comes in. But I think he's going to first and foremost do each and every role, right, that the manager has for him, as slowly but surely he finds where his position is in this Arsenal system.
When you get players in, that's probably is